Hello, and welcome back to another episode of What We're Talking About on Wednesday. What time? Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2020, and we are talking Love is Blind, ladies and gentlemen. Love is Blind. We're talking about it. I'm going to spoil it. So this is your official spoiler alert notice. I'm not going to say it again. I'm spoiling it, and we're just going to dive right in. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk about the least popular couples to the most popular couples, because that's, I think, in sort of order of interest. So let's go to the top of the list with Kenny and Kelly. Now, if you remember Kenny and Kelly, Kelly was like this kind of like quiet, down home country girl. She was looking for love and was known as choosing the wrong kind of guy. And Kenny was a very busy business mind kind of guy, kind of always keeping himself busy and also looking for love, and decided to experiment or participate in the experiment of the Love is Blind show. Now, we're going to fast forward till about past the engagement. And we're going to talk about them building a relationship outside of the pods. So inside of the pods, everybody cries, everybody connects, woohoo, great. But when people meet and it's face to face, at first glance, it looked like to me that Kelly and Kenny they were like on the top of my list of success stories. I was fully invested and believed that they were going to get married and do the whole shoot and shebang. But as their relationship started to unfold on the show, we started to see that Kelly had some intimacy issues and started talking a lot about her past relationship, how she waited to be intimate with her partner. And then when she was intimate, she found that they didn't connect. And that sort of destroyed the relationship. So she was sort of repeating the same sort of habit, but with Kenny. And Kenny was being the gentleman that he is, was being patient, was waiting. And sort of it was getting closer and closer to their wedding. And we see her trying on the dress and sort of expressing a few doubts, which they all do. But again, I thought she was fully invested in Kenny and fully invested in their future. Met their families meshed so well, so nice. Her mom, his mom, they all kind of had similar storylines where they met and then shortly thereafter married their parents. So it seemed like, Kenny and Kelly were a surefire thing. Now let's fast forward to the wedding day. Again, she's getting dressed, doing the whole shoot and shebang. Her mom is crying. She's kind of like stone cold, doesn't cry. Her sister's emotional. She doesn't really cry. And she gets down to the and she says, if I just don't feel it, I'm not going to do it. And we were all like, okay, well, everybody's kind of saying that as a part of the show. I'm assuming you're kind of told to say that and don't give it all away. So homegirl gets down the aisle and Kenny's there, looking all handsome and stuff and dapper. And out of all of the couples, well, no, that's not true. I'll talk about the other one. But out of all of the couples, no, that's also not true. Okay. She said no. And out of all of the couples, I truly believe that she was all in from the beginning. They were very affectionate, very huggy. They seemed to connect really well. But ultimately, she said she didn't connect with him on the level that he connected with her, which is kind of sad because she just kind of picked up and walked off. And Kenny's standing there, like red cheeked, kind of like, okay, what do I do? And he speaks on it, and being the classy gentleman he is, he says, we didn't know what was going to come of this experiment. It is an experiment, and I respect her decision. But you could tell he was heartbroken. And then cameras kind of follow you after to sort of get your reaction, which I don't really like, because some of these people are just getting rejected. So it's hard for them to really convey their emotions when the camera's like right here. So Kenny was like, you know what? I can't answer these questions yet. I just need a second. I hope truly that they're both happy. I do feel like Kelly kind of seemed like she was really warm, but then at the end kind of like showed us her stone cold side. And I feel like that wasn't really properly or fully conveyed to Kenny. Now, we didn't really see a lot of their relationship once they got out of the pods and off the vacation. So there was a lot to be seen to the development of their relationship. I'm going to leave it at that. Now we're going to talk about Amber. No, not Amber. Sorry. I can never remember this girl's name. Jessica and Mark. Now, we've all had many opinions about Jessica and her blatant obsession with Barnett. But I really think that she should have tapped out of this experiment when Barnett told her he wasn't for her, he didn't want to choose her. Because at that point, she went into desperation mode, she went into survival mode, and she went into, I'll take the next best thing who wanted me. And that was unfortunately Mark. And Mark, being the loving, caring, understanding, patient guy that he is, was willing to wait for her to get past her obsession with Barnett. And one of the most difficult things for me was in one episode, when this girl first of all, this girl needs to stop drinking. I hope she did. But when she was drinking during the show, and I think she was using that as a coping mechanism, she says something to Mark when he says something about second choice or second best or something like that. She's like, you're second best. How about that? Your second choice, or your whatever. And I think in that moment, she was really saying to him, you were my second choice. I did not want you. I'm drinking myself through the situation, through the circumstance, because I'm trying to get through it. But he was second best, your second best. That's what he said. And then she reciprocated it back, but said it in such a way that to me really conveyed how she really felt. Again, all throughout their relationship, he was trying to make things right with her, trying to do sweet things. She was like, I love you. This is amazing. And on wedding day, she thankfully says no. Now, out of all of the couples, I was most hoping that she would say no, because how could you say you're a good person if you know full and well that you're going down the aisle to somebody you don't want to marry and your heart is still with someone else? So thankfully, she made the decision and said no. And it broke Mark's heart, and I cried for Mark, his mom cried for Mark, and Mark cried for Mark. And I hope that wherever he is today, he's doing well, he's thriving. I hope he's got lots of ladies sliding in his DMs, because he's 24. So I think he's got a lot of options and a lot of time. And maybe when he goes forward and dates again, I hope he kind of protects himself a little bit more and kind of keeps himself guarded a little bit more, because I feel like he put all his cards on the table like day one for her, and she was kind of just like, kind of like looking at the cards and being like, maybe later. Like she never really co-signed for their relationship. She's kind of just like ... Now we're gonna move on to, I think this relationship was really obvious, Barnett and Amber. First of all, I don't like Jessica, and I couldn't always stand Amber. But when Amber was talking about her man and how she felt about Jessica behaving with her man, I fully supported her, because when you're thirsty, and Amber was not about to share her Kool-Aid with homegirl. So Amber had her odd moments of being very big and loud and boisterous, and Barnett's kind of sort of muted and calm. And they meshed well, very physically meshed well, and it seemed like they slowly built emotionally. Amber had her moments of being like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting married. And Barnett kind of seemed scared that, I might have picked a girl who was not as ready to grow up and be in a marriage as I thought I was. Financially speaking, Barnett and Jessica made more sense. I think emotionally and physically, I said Jessica, right? Yeah. Jessica and Barnett made more sense financially, but emotionally and physically, Amber and Barnett made more sense. They both said yes, happily ever after. They're still together. Homegirl is blonde now. And I hope that they're truly happy and living their best lives. I hope Amber has gotten her debt together, or is working on getting her debt together, because Barnett looks like he's like, about his finances. And I hope that they're growing and learning together. Next couple, the second favorite couple, I think, is our beloved spicy Gigi. I can't remember her name. Giannina? Okay, whatever. Gigi and Damien. Now, from the beginning, I felt that even though Gigi was younger, like quite a bit younger than Damien, I felt that a lot of times Damien was sort of emotionally rigid with Gigi. I felt like a lot of times Gigi was willing to open up more about things and sort of express herself. Yes, she was kind of explosive at times. We're going to blame that on her spice, her lectin spice. But I think more times she was willing to talk about what she really felt. Again, we have to remember that this show only showed us bits and pieces and small moments of these couples getting to know each other and growing through fights and learning through fights and all that good stuff. What we did see from Gigi is that she was, I think, emotionally invested, just wanting to make sure things were on the page. I think Damien had a pretty big fear of failing, and I think he sometimes projected that onto her. And I feel like sometimes she would have to pull him back and help remind him that You know, we're in this together. I'm here for you. With his family not wanting to meet her, I think that was really kind of a difficult thing for her. And her parents coming out and kind of supporting them. And her parents being like, you know, you need more time, but we support you. That was kind of tough to see for Gigi. But so when it came to wedding day, Gigi said yes. Damien said no. And honestly, I get where he's coming from, because he felt like in his mind she was hot one day, cold one day, hot one day, cold one day. We didn't really get to see much of that, but I can understand him not wanting to say yes and marry somebody if he doesn't feel like they're fully invested. So the tea on that is what we're seeing after the fact, and what we'll hopefully get more understanding tomorrow in the reunion, is that it seems like they're still together. But because Gigi is a little bit younger and she's kind of like got the social media mind and the influencer mind, she kind of needs to, they need to grow together and learn how to really mesh with each other's lives, and see how that truly works, especially off camera. So I really like Gigi and I really like Damien. For Gigi, I think they do balance each other out. I think they're a good looking couple, and I wish them well. Now, before we get to the couple we all want to talk about, I just want to do an honorable mention to Carlton and Princess. Now, when homegirl, you know, threw her drink in Carlton's face, I think she was right in that moment. I don't think Carlton handled himself well. However, I do feel like Carlton felt a severe sense of fear of rejection, and so he decided to hold on to very important information that he should have shared with Princess from the very beginning. Do I think it was detrimental to the growth and the possibility of their relationship? 1000%. If he kept talking about being honest and being his true self, then that should have been one of the first few things he told her in the pod. Because I feel like doing that in the pod would have been doing that in a very safe and secure and private space, minus the cameras, obviously. But I mean, if you're talking to the cameras about it, then you should have been willing to talk to Princess about it. You should have been willing to let Princess know from the beginning, this is all of me. And if you can get past that in here and love me anyway, then we can get through anything out there. I think he waited too long and was kind of projecting a different image of himself in person, and then kind of hit her with that news. And I think that really kind of hit Princess pretty hard. I think they were both emotionally drained after him telling his story, you know, his situation, and her reacting. And apparently they reconciled, and I think Princess is still pretty emotional about it. And just yesterday I was reading how Carlton was feeling very isolated and secluded from the people he was hoping would be his support system. And honestly, being a Black male coming out as bisexual is not an easy thing. It's almost like the Black community, or communities in general, are willing to accept Black men if they're either straight or gay, but being in the middle, being bisexual and owning that, it's kind of like, I can't really navigate that. And I feel like he's not getting the support he needs, and he's really in a dark place. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Carlton. And as much as you might not be getting as much love from the people around you who know you, I hope you know that there are a lot of people who don't know you, who are supporting you, who are wishing you well and wishing that you find the love that you truly deserve. Because I don't think it's fair to feel as isolated as you're feeling. I do hope in the future, well, I don't think you can really avoid it now, but in the future, whoever comes into your life loves you past your past. Just like most people, a lot of us get love past, you know, our checkered past. I hope somebody can truly find you and love you for you. So that's my thoughts on Carlton and Princess. But I think that Princess should get married to somebody and be on Real Housewives of Atlanta, because that drink, ooh, she was good at that. Like, she was good at that. She was like, ah. But anyway, I digress. Now let's talk about the couple, the icons, the iconic couple, Team, what do they call it? Team Lamerin? Yeah, Team Lamerin, Team Cam, Team Lauren, Team Love is Blind. For these two, for real, my icons, my chocolate and vanilla swirl, Lauren and Cameron. Now, I'm clearly biased about this relationship because I am also in an interracial relationship, and I'm engaged, and I've been with my partner I've been with him for 6 years, going on 7 years. So when I saw Cameron and Lauren, I instantly connected to their storyline, because even though I'm in Canada, I do know what it feels like to have eyes on you and kind of looking at you because you're Black and he's white and blah, blah, blah. As ridiculous as it is in 2020 and in 2019 and in 2018, it's still a thing. And in the States, it's probably highlighted a lot more. So watching those two connect was like a dream for me. Like, I was loving it, and we all were loving it. I mean, the hashtags for Love is Blind was mostly about them. And you know, watching oh my god, it's killing me. Watching them connect in the pods first and sharing some important information about themselves and you know, sharing an emotional moment and crying together was so amazing to see, first of all, because Cameron is a big, strong, smart dude, as we've come to know, but he's also very comfortable with showing his emotional side, very comfortable in being thoughtful and being loving and being caring and being affectionate, and still representing to me what looks like a manly man. So once he proposed and she said yes, mind you, they were one of the first couples we saw get engaged. I don't know if it happened as quickly as it made it out to, because it made it look like 5 days in. They were like, yep, we're getting married. But if that's the case, God bless them, because I think they were absolutely meant to be. When Cameron proposed and they met after, it was sort of like watching this sort of fairy tale be told in front of us. Watching Cameron look at her with these adoring eyes, and kind of watching Lauren show her fear and being vulnerable about the situation and being honest about, you know, trying to navigate their relationship in the real world was something so refreshing. Because while people are constantly highlighting race and racial differences and so on and so forth, I think Cameron and Lauren also just talked about it in a matter-of-fact way. Like, yeah, I just so happen to be black and you just so happen to be white, and yes, people are going to notice things and make comments or question things, but we're just going to navigate it the best way we know how. And I did like that Lauren had said that, no, I think it was Cameron. No, it was Lauren. Lauren had said that, you know, they didn't only just talk about their race. It was just something that the show continuously kind of shared with us, how they were navigating it. So I'm sure, and it's kind of clear now, that they spent a lot of time getting to know each other on many different levels. So come wedding day, well, let's backtrack and talk about Cameron meeting Lauren's dad. Lauren's dad being a very strong black male figure in her life, and just male figure in her life in general. Watching Cameron navigate that conversation, and what I love about Cameron the most is that he's really calm and really thoughtful in how he speaks. So watching Lauren's dad kind of be like, okay, you know, if she loves you, I'll like you for now, but figure you out later. And it's kind of fast forwarding to what we know now. I'm so excited that Lauren has such a beautiful father who loves her and supports her, and has a beautiful husband who loves her and supports her, and all they want to do is make it work. And Lauren is just this like glowing angel in the middle. Honestly, she's iconic. That's what I think. And you know, we fast forward to wedding day, and I was honestly worried she was gonna, because they kind of portray that. I was kind of worried she was gonna let the difference in race push her or pull her away from what looked like could have been true, honest, endearing love. So she kind of seemed kind of scared. Her mom was kind of like, I don't know, Mom, she might say no. So when it came time, Cameron was a resounding instant yes. We all knew that was coming. And you know, the show, they give you the music and the emotions, and you're like, okay, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? And then she says yes. I literally like yelled yes, and like was like jumping up and down, because it's like you're rooting for your favorite underdogs, the teams that you want to do well, but you're not sure because the odds are stacked against them. That is Team Lamron. That is Cameron. That is Lauren. And then seeing everything after the fact, you know, they live together, they have a dog, her dad comes over on Sundays, and so on and so forth. And now they're doing all this press stuff, and he still looks at her with, you know, after a year and a half almost, looks at her with this like endearing, like, I adore you love. I can't. I cried when he said yes. I cried when she said yes. I cried when they showed her dad. And then I cried after when I saw the Instagram post of that they were together. They're still thriving. They're still surviving. Honestly, Netflix, I don't know, or maybe Nick Lachey, I don't know who to say is amazing, but this show is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait for the reunion. We will talk about it next week. This has been another episode of What We're Talking About on Wednesday. I'll see you next time.